The West can defeat Russia in Ukraine and force Putin to the negotiating table by adopting Cold War-style tactics, according to a former NATO advisor, Ian Brzezinski. He argues that Moscow is beatable, but only if the West fully leverages its vast economic and military superiority. Instead of pursuing a negotiated settlement, Brzezinski says the focus should be on overwhelming Russia's ability to continue the war. The expert told The Sun that Putin still views the world through a Cold War lens, and the only way to compel him to seek peace is to drastically shift what he calls the correlation of forces. This means applying the same strategies that helped bring down the Soviet Union, such as ramping up military aid to Ukraine, tightening sanctions, and launching an aggressive information campaign aimed at destabilizing Russia's leadership. He points to the Cold War tactics like restricting trade, limiting access to technology, and targeting energy revenues to cripple Russia's economy. Western sanctions are already straining Russia's wartime economy, with oil and gas revenues falling and industry struggling due to manpower shortages and restricted imports. However, Brzezinski believes the West has not yet fully exploited its economic power to deliver a decisive blow to Putin's war machine. He also stresses the importance of undermining Putin domestically by encouraging internal dissent and turning public sentiment against the war. He argues that engaging the Russian people through modern propaganda and exposing them to the economic hardships caused by the war could weaken Putin's grip on power. Brzezinski also advocates for fast-tracking Ukraine into NATO, arguing that it's the only way to ensure Ukraine's long-term security and convince Putin that his expansionist ambitions are futile. While some Western leaders fear this could escalate the conflict, Brzezinski believes delaying NATO membership only leaves Ukraine vulnerable. He warns that even if a ceasefire is reached, lasting peace between Russia and Ukraine is unlikely while Putin remains in power. Instead, Brzezinski predicts a prolonged but stable confrontation, similar to the Cold War, where direct conflict is avoided but tensions remain high. The expert also acknowledges the possibility of a power struggle within Russia, noting that authoritarian regimes appear stable until they collapse suddenly and violently. Ultimately, Brzezinski argues that only a return to Cold War-style strategies, including economic warfare, military pressure, and psychological operations, can force Russia into a crisis it cannot sustain and bring an end to the conflict on Ukraine's terms.